The heavy rain pounded against the bus stop shelter as Kyle Harrison huddled with his 5-year-old daughter Emma, both of them shivering despite sharing his worn denim jacket. The last bus had departed 10 minutes ago, and their apartment was still 15 blocks away, a daunting walk in this downpour with a tired child and groceries in tow. "Daddy, I'm cold," Emma whispered, her small fingers gripping his hand. "I know, sweetheart." "Just a little longer and we'll figure something out," Kyle replied, mentally calculating if he could afford a rideshare with the $23.47 left in his bank account until payday. His construction job had been cut to part-time hours after the development project lost funding, leaving him struggling to make ends meet as a single father. A sleek black sedan screeched to a halt in front of the bus shelter, water spraying from beneath its tires. Kyle instinctively pulled Emma closer as the passenger window lowered. Instead of the expected query for directions, he saw a woman's face, fear etched across her features. "Please," she called out, her voice barely audible above the rain. "Can you get in? I need help. Someone's following me." Kyle hesitated, years of street smarts warning him of potential danger, but something in the woman's eyes' genuine terror made him pause. "Madam, I've got my daughter with me," he responded cautiously. "Please," she repeated, glancing anxiously in the rearview mirror. "I wouldn't ask if I wasn't desperate." Kyle made a split-second decision as headlights appeared down the street, approaching fast. "Emma, we're going to help this lady, okay? Stay close to me." He gathered their grocery bags and hurried to the car, helping Emma in before sliding into the passenger seat himself. "Thank you," the woman breathed, immediately accelerating. "I'm Jade Lawson. Kyle Harrison, this is my daughter, Emma." As they pulled away, Kyle noticed a dark SUV with tinted windows making a U-turn to follow them. Jade's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "That's him. He's been following me for 3 days now." Kyle's protective instincts kicked in. Take the next right, then an immediate left. It's harder to follow through residential areas. Jade did as instructed, navigating the unfamiliar streets with Kyle's guidance. After a series of turns that took them through quiet neighborhoods and eventually onto a busy commercial street, they lost sight of the SUV. "I think we've lost him," Kyle said after 15 minutes of strategic navigation. "Do you know who he is?" Jade shook her head, her shoulders still tense. "No, I started noticing the same car everywhere I went a few days ago. At first, I thought I was imagining things, but then I saw him taking pictures of me outside my hotel." "Hotel? You're not from around here." "No, I'm from Chicago, here on business." She didn't elaborate further, and Kyle didn't press. Emma had fallen asleep in the back seat, her small head resting against the window. Kyle glanced at her and then back at Jade. In the glow of the dashboard lights, he could see she was beautiful dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, minimal makeup, and wearing what looked like an expensive but understated suit. Not that her appearance mattered in this situation, he reminded himself. "Where can I take you?" Jade asked, breaking the silence. "You mentioned a bus." "Just heading home. We're over on Maple Street near the community center." Jade nodded and turned toward that direction. "Thank you for helping me. Most people wouldn't have gotten into a stranger's car." "Most people wouldn't have stopped to help a stranger in the rain, either," Kyle pointed out. "We all need help sometimes." When they arrived at Kyle's apartment, building a modest brick structure that had seen better days, Jade insisted on driving into the underground parking garage rather than dropping them at the entrance. "Just to be safe," she explained. "In case he somehow tracked us." Kyle led her to his apartment on the 3rd floor, groceries in one hand. Emma cradled against his shoulder with the other. The apartment was small but tidy, a 2-bedroom unit with mismatched furniture that Kyle had either found secondhand or been given by friends and family after his wife Lisa's death 3 years ago. "It's not much," he said self-consciously, as he laid Emma on the couch and covered her with a blanket. "It's perfect," Jade replied, and something in her tone made him believe she meant it. Is there something I can do to help? I've imposed enough already. Kyle gestured toward the kitchen. You can help me put away these groceries while I call the police about your stalker. While Kyle spoke with the police, providing what little information they had about the SUV, Jade efficiently unpacked the grocery bags. She noticed how sparse the supplies were: basics like pasta, canned vegetables, milk, and peanut butter. The refrigerator was nearly empty when she opened it, with just condiments and a few eggs occupying the shelves. After hanging up with the police, who promised to send an officer to take a statement but didn't sound particularly concerned, Kyle joined Jade in the kitchen. They said there's not much they can do without more information, but they'll have a patrol car swing by here a few times tonight. Jade nodded, unsurprised. I appreciate you trying. She glanced at her watch. I should probably call a car service and get back to my hotel. Are you sure that's safe? Kyle asked, concern evident in his voice. This guy knows what you drive now. He might know where you're staying. Jade bit her lip, considering. You're right, but I can't impose on you further. It's already late. Emma's asleep. Why don't you take my room for tonight, and I'll sleep on the couch? Tomorrow we can figure out next steps when we're all thinking more clearly. Jade hesitated, then nodded gratefully. Thank you. I can't tell you how much this means to me. Kyle showed her to his bedroom, giving her a clean t-shirt to sleep in and a new toothbrush from the pack he kept for emergencies. As he settled onto the couch next to his sleeping daughter, he wondered about the mysterious woman in his bedroom. She clearly had money. Her watch alone probably cost more than his monthly rent, but there was something humble about her, something genuine that had made him trust her instinctively. Morning arrived with sunlight streaming through the apartment's thin curtains. Kyle woke early, as he always did, carefully moving Emma to her own bed before starting coffee. He was surprised to find Jade already awake, sitting at his small kitchen table, working on a sleek laptop she must have retrieved from her car. Good morning, she said, closing the computer as he entered. I hope you don't mind, I had some work to finish. Not at all. Kyle poured coffee into 2 mismatched mugs. Sleep okay? Better than I expected, considering the circumstances. She accepted the coffee gratefully. Kyle, there's something I should tell you. Before she could continue, there was a knock at the door. Kyle checked the peephole to find a uniformed police officer outside. The officer took Jade's statement about the stalking incident, but without a license plate or clear description of the driver, he admitted there wasn't much they could do except file a report. After the officer left, Jade turned to Kyle. I need to be honest with you. I'm not just here on ordinary business. I'm the CEO of Lawson Technologies. We're opening a new research facility here, and I've been in town finalizing the details. Kyle blinked in surprise. Lawson Technologies was a major software development company. He'd read about their expansion into their city in the newspaper, how it would bring hundreds of new jobs. Why wouldn't you tell me that? When people find out what I do, they treat me differently. It was nice to be treated like a normal person for once. She gave a small smile. Plus, I wasn't sure if it was relevant to the immediate being stalked situation. Kyle nodded, understanding. He'd experienced similar judgment when people learned he was a single father working construction assumptions about his education or capabilities that weren't fair or accurate. Well, whoever's following you might be after more than just you. Corporate espionage, maybe. That's what I'm worried about, Jade admitted. The timing is suspicious. We're announcing a major new product line next week. A small voice interrupted their conversation. Daddy, who's the pretty lady? Emma stood in the doorway of her bedroom, rubbing sleep from her eyes, her curly hair a mess of tangles. This is Miss Jade. She needed our help last night, remember? Kyle knelt to his daughter's level. How about some breakfast, pumpkin? While Kyle prepared simple oatmeal with sliced bananas, one of the few breakfast options in his cupboard, Jade chatted easily with Emma, who was instantly charmed by the visitor. By the time they'd finished eating, Emma had shown Jade her favorite stuffed animals and the drawing she'd made at kindergarten the previous day. "I should go," Jade said finally, gathering her things. "I have meetings all day, and I've already caused enough disruption to your morning." "Will the bad man come back?" Emma asked innocently. The adults exchanged glances. "I'm going to be very careful," Jade assured her, "and I have people who can help me stay safe." "Like Daddy helped you," Jade smiled at the little girl. "Exactly like your daddy helped me." After walking Jade to her car and making sure no suspicious vehicles were lurking nearby, Kyle watched her drive away, feeling strangely disappointed to see her go. She'd left her business card with him, insisting he call if he saw anything suspicious around the apartment building. Kyle went to work that day, leaving Emma with Mrs. Patel, the elderly neighbor who watched her while he was at the construction site. All day, as he hauled materials and measured beams, he found his thoughts drifting to Jade. It wasn't just that she was beautiful or successful, there had been something in her eyes, a kind of loneliness he recognized because he carried it too. 3 days passed without incident. Kyle assumed Jade had returned to Chicago or was safely ensconced in security at her hotel. He was surprised when, on Friday afternoon as he picked up Emma from kindergarten, he spotted the now familiar black sedan parked across from the school. Jade waved from the driver's seat, rolling down her window as they approached. "Hi," she said, sounding almost shy. "I wanted to thank you properly for helping me. Would you and Emma like to have dinner tonight? My treat." Emma bounced excitedly. "Can we, Daddy? Please?" Kyle hesitated. "You don't have to do that, really." "I want to," Jade insisted. "Besides, I have some news about our mutual problem that I'd like to share." They agreed to meet at a family-friendly restaurant near Kyle's apartment. When they arrived, Jade was already waiting, dressed in jeans and a simple blouse, a marked contrast to her business attire from before. She looked younger, more relaxed, over pizza and sodas, milk for Emma. Jade explained that her security team had identified the stalker as an employee of a rival tech company, attempting to track her movements to gain insight into Lawson Technologies' upcoming product launch. "They've handled it," she assured Kyle. "He's been arrested for corporate espionage and stalking. The police were much more interested once they realized who I was and what he was after." "That's a relief," Kyle said sincerely. "I've been worried about you." "You have?" Jade's expression softened. "Of course. Emma's been asking about you too, haven't you, kiddo?" Emma nodded enthusiastically, her face smeared with pizza sauce. "I told Miss Patel all about how Daddy rescued the princess in the magic car." The adults laughed, and dinner evolved into a relaxed, enjoyable evening. Kyle learned that Jade had built her company from scratch after developing a revolutionary software platform in college. She'd been married briefly in her 20s, but had divorced amicably before children entered the picture. Now, at 33, her company consumed most of her time. "What about you?" she asked as Emma colored on the children's menu. "How did you end up raising Emma alone?" Kyle's expression grew somber. "My wife, Lisa, died when Emma was 2, cancer. It happened fast diagnosis too. The end was just 7 months. Jade reached across the table to touch his hand. "I'm so sorry." "We're doing okay," Kyle said, glancing fondly at his daughter. "It's been hard, especially with work being unstable lately, but we manage." After dinner, Jade insisted on driving them home. Outside their apartment building, Emma fell asleep in the back seat, giving the adults a moment alone. "I'm staying in town longer than planned," Jade said, her voice quiet in the darkened car. "The new facility needs more attention than I anticipated." "That's good," Kyle replied, surprised by how much he meant it. "I mean, not good that your work is complicated, but—" "I know what you mean," Jade smiled. "Would it be okay if I called you sometime? Maybe we could have dinner again, or lunch, or coffee, or whatever works with your schedule." "I'd like that," Kyle said, feeling a flutter of something he hadn't experienced in years. Over the following weeks, Jade became a regular presence in their lives. She joined them for movie nights at their apartment. brought Emma educational toys that the little girl adored, and sometimes picked her up from kindergarten when Kyle's work schedule required it. She never made Kyle feel like a charity case. Instead, she seemed genuinely grateful to be included in their small family routines. One evening, after Emma had gone to bed, they sat on Kyle's small balcony, sharing a bottle of wine Jade had brought. "You're good with her," Kyle observed. "Most of my dates have been awkward around Emma, like they don't know what to do with a child in the room." "Is that what this is? Are we dating?" Jade asked, her eyes twinkling in the dim light. Kyle felt his face warm. "I mean, I hope so. Unless you make a habit of spending your evenings watching animated movies with random single dads you rescue from bus stops." "Only the really handsome ones," she teased, then grew more serious. "Kyle, I've been thinking about something. The lease on my extended stay hotel is up next week. I'm going to be here for at least another 3 months overseeing the facility launch, and I was thinking of renting an apartment." "That makes sense," Kyle nodded, ignoring the pang of disappointment at the thought of her establishing a separate life here. "I was wondering if you and Emma would help me look for places this weekend. I'd value your input." "Of course," Kyle agreed, touched by her inclusion of Emma in the request. That Saturday, they visited several apartment complexes. At each one, Jade asked Emma questions about whether she liked the pool or the playground, while consulting Kyle about neighborhood safety and proximity to good schools. It wasn't until they were viewing the third property, a spacious 3-bedroom with a balcony overlooking a park, that Kyle realized the pattern. "Jade," he asked quietly while Emma explored the walk-in closet, pretending it was a princess castle, "are you looking for a place for all of us?" Jade's confident demeanor faltered. "I'm sorry, I should have been more direct. I know it's fast, but I thought maybe, if you were interested, we could find a place that would work for all of us. Not necessarily to move in immediately, but with the option for the future." Kyle stared at her, stunned by the proposition. "I've fallen in love with both of you," Jade continued, her voice soft but steady. "I've never felt this way about anyone before. When I'm with you and Emma, I feel like I'm home, even though I've only known you for a short time." "If it's too soon, I understand." Kyle closed the distance between them, kissing her gently. "It's not too soon," he murmured. "Not when it feels this right." Emma chose that moment to emerge from the closet. "Daddy's kissing Miss Jade," she announced, giggling. They broke apart, laughing. Jade knelt to Emma's level. "Emma, how would you feel if I spent more time with you and your dad? Maybe even if we all lived together someday?" Emma considered this with the serious deliberation only a 5-year-old could muster. "Would you read me stories like Daddy does?" "Every night if you want. And can we get a puppy? Daddy always says our apartment is too small for a puppy." Jade glanced up at Kyle, her eyes dancing with amusement. "Well, that would be a family decision, but this place does have a nice park for dog walking." "Then okay," Emma declared, as if settling a major business negotiation. They didn't sign a lease that day, agreeing instead that Jade would move into a temporary furnished apartment while they took time to blend their lives more gradually. But the direction was set, and over the next few months, their relationship deepened in ways neither had expected. Jade discovered the joy of school pickup routines and weekend playground visits. Kyle found himself welcomed into Jade's professional world, attending company events where she proudly introduced him, making it clear that his work as a builder was just as valuable as any executive position. For Kyle's part, he had to overcome his own pride and insecurities. He'd been so accustomed to handling everything alone that accepting Jade's generosity, whether it was taking them out to dinner or buying Emma a new winter coat, initially felt like failure on his part. "It's not about money," Jade explained one night after they'd had a tense discussion about her offering to pay for Emma's dance classes. "It's about building a life together. I'm fortunate to have financial stability, but you give Emma and me so much more than that. You've given me a family, Kyle. That's worth more than anything I could ever earn." 6 months after their rainy night encounter, Kyle received a job offer to become a project manager at the construction company, a position that came with stable hours, benefits, and a significant pay increase. The timing coincided with the completion of Jade's research facility, which meant her constant presence in the city was no longer required for daily operations. "I've been thinking," Jade said, as they celebrated his promotion with a special dinner at home after Emma was asleep. "I can run most of Lawson Technologies remotely, coming to Chicago only when absolutely necessary. What if I made this my permanent base?" "You do that?" Kyle asked, surprised. "Move your whole life here. My life is already here," she said simply. "It's with you and Emma, the company can adapt." 2 weeks later, they found a house, a comfortable 4-bedroom, with a yard big enough for the puppy Emma had been campaigning for since their first apartment viewing. Kyle insisted on contributing equally to their life together, now that his financial situation had improved. "I never thought I'd find this again," he admitted as they unpacked boxes in their new home, the sound of Emma playing with their newly adopted rescue dog, a gentle mixed breed named Buddy, drifting in from the backyard. "After Lisa died, I couldn't imagine loving someone that way again." "I never thought I'd find it at all," Jade replied, setting down the box she was carrying to embrace him. "I was so focused on building my company that I forgot to build a life." On a crisp autumn evening a year after they met, Kyle took Jade for a walk in the park, where they'd had their third date. Emma was having a sleepover with a friend from her new school, giving them a rare evening alone. "Do you remember telling me how you started your company?" Kyle asked as they strolled hand in hand along the tree-lined path. "With a laptop and a dream, living on ramen noodles in my studio apartment," Jade laughed. "It feels like another lifetime now." "You built something amazing from nothing," Kyle said, stopping beneath a large oak tree. "I've always admired that about you." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Jade's eyes widened as he knelt on one knee. "I don't have an empire to offer you, but I promise to build our life together with the same dedication you've shown to your company. You came into our lives unexpectedly, but loving you has been the easiest, most natural thing I've ever done." He opened the box, revealing a simple but elegant diamond ring. "Jade Lawson, will you marry me?" "Yes," she whispered, tears shimmering in her eyes. "1,000 times yes." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, Jade pulled him to his feet and into a passionate kiss. When they finally broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. "You know, for a CEO, I made a pretty terrible decision that night," she murmured, getting into a stranger's car in the rain. Kyle chuckled. "No," Jade smiled. "Thinking I could ever leave once I found you." Their wedding took place the following spring, with Emma proudly serving as flower girl. Jade's parents, initially skeptical of their daughter's whirlwind romance with a construction worker, had become Kyle's ardent supporters after seeing how genuinely happy he made her. Kyle's mother wept with joy throughout the ceremony, later confiding to Jade that she'd never expected to see her son overcome his grief to love so completely again. Lawson Technologies continued to thrive under Jade's leadership, though she restructured her role to allow for more remote work and a healthier work-life balance. Kyle's career in construction management flourished, with his practical experience and natural leadership abilities making him a valued asset to his company. 2 years after their wedding, their family expanded with the birth of twins, a boy and a girl they named Noah and Lily. Emma, now 8, embraced her role as big sister with enthusiasm, reading stories to the babies and solemnly explaining the important things in life, like which cereals were the best, and why brushing your teeth was actually not negotiable, despite what one might think. On quiet evenings, when the children were asleep and the house was still, Kyle and Jade would often reminisce about the rainy night that had brought them together, how a moment of fear and an act of kindness had changed the trajectory of both their lives. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't stopped at that bus shelter?" Kyle asked one such evening as they sat on their back porch, watching fireflies dance in the summer twilight. Sometimes, Jade admitted, leaning her head on his shoulder. But then, I remember something my grandmother used to say, that the most important turns in our lives often don't announce themselves. They just happen, and it's only later we realize their significance. Kyle nodded, thinking of all the small decisions and chances that had led them here: his missed bus, her stalker, the rain that had made her car the only logical shelter. "I'm glad you stopped," he said simply. "I'm glad you got in," she replied, taking his hand. Even though it was a completely illogical decision for a single father to make. "Sometimes the heart knows better than the head," Kyle mused, "and mine recognized you before I even knew who you were." As the stars emerged above them, their conversation drifted to future plans: a family vacation they were considering, Emma's upcoming school play, the community garden project they'd volunteered for. Ordinary discussions about an extraordinary life they'd built together, founded on a moment of trust between strangers on a rainy night. In the years that followed, their story became family legend: how Emma's daddy had helped a princess escape a bad guy, not knowing she was really a queen of computers who would fall in love with them both. It was the bedtime story the children requested most often, each telling embellished slightly differently, but always ending the same way. And they found that the greatest fortune wasn't in bank accounts or corner offices, but in the family they'd built together: a treasure no corporate rival could ever steal, and no storm could wash away.